Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and in this video, we are going to make some zero net carb noodles that can be used for spaghetti or ramen. For this recipe, we're going to get a little bit food science-y and actually go back into my past, pre-keto, back when I was doing a lot of molecular gastronomy or modernist cuisine cooking. There's a category of ingredients called hydrocolloids. These are generally derived from plant substances and occasionally salts, and what they do is they can turn a liquid into some degree of a solid. So that could be a gel, it could be a room-stable foam, it could be a gummy, it could be fruit juice caviar, which is what I used to make pre-keto, so little tiny pearls that would pop in your mouth. And that's the technique that we're going to use to make the noodles in this video. However, we're going to let them solidify more. We don't want noodles popping goo into our mouth. And though I've used this technique in the past, I'd really pretty much forgotten about it until I saw a video by Anne at Keto Asian Flavours. And she used this to make noodles with lupin flour and egg yolk powder. And I thought, brilliant. Anyhow, I'm going to link to Anne's video down in the description below. I really encourage you to check out her channel. She does a lot of great stuff, great camera work. She deserves a lot more subscribers than she has. So I made her recipe, and it's some good stuff. But I thought, could I put my own spin on it? And I did. Instead of using egg yolk powder and lupin flour, we're going to use canned chicken breast and create what is essentially a zero net carb noodle that can be used for spaghetti, ramen, I don't know, whatever you want. In terms of special ingredients, we will be using sodium alginate, this is derived from seaweed, calcium lactate, which is a salt derived from the fermentation of lactic acid, and the keto standby for thickeners, xanthan gum. I'm using perfected xanthan gum. I have really fallen in love with this versus regular xanthan gum because it doesn't require the constant shear of blending to mix it in. So, no clumping, good stuff. I will include links to all of these ingredients, both in big packets and small packets. So this is sort of the, I just want to dabble in noodles. This is, I'm the noodle maniac. I'll put links both from the Modernist Pantry site and on Amazon. Your call. So now, let's make some noodles. We'll start with 3 cups of water, that's 710 ml. Temperature does not matter. To this, we will add 1 5-ounce can of chicken breast. That's 141 grams. After we drain it, it's about 90 grams. Pop on the lid so you don't spatter your entire kitchen with chicken liquid, and gradually ramp up the speed, blending for probably 15 to 20 seconds, or until we've completely liquefied our chicken. Next, we'll add 1/2 teaspoon of xanthan gum. This we want to add while the blender is running, so gradually sprinkle it through the little hole in the center. Again, we're going to blend for probably 15 to 20 seconds. Finally, we'll add our sodium alginate, 1 tablespoon. This is half the amount that Anne uses in her recipe and is more in line with the recommendations from Modernist Pantry. At this point, our batter is thick enough that we can sprinkle in the sodium alginate with the lid off. Our batter is going to be very foamy at this point, and one of the tricks I have found for getting rid of foam is to filter it through a mesh sieve. You can see how this is coming out a lot more smoothly. It's getting rid of the air bubbles. You may need to spatulize it a little bit just to speed up the process. Now we still will have some bubbles, so we want to let this sit for about a half an hour to let those bubbles rise to the surface. Then we'll create our water bath with 7 cups of water, that's 1.6 liters. Again, temperature does not matter. To this we will add 1 tablespoon or 10 grams of calcium lactate, which we will whisk in until fully dissolved. And then we'll be back in a half an hour. You can see we still have some very tiny bubbles on the surface of our batter. We're going to scrape that off with a spoon and then transfer to a condiment squeeze bottle. You'll find that you get about 2 full squeeze bottles worth from this recipe. We'll screw on the cap, we'll start to swirl our water bath, and then watch the magic happen. When you first do this, it is going to blow your mind. You're making spaghetti right here. It's also strangely hypnotic. Now I do recommend taking some breaks in the squeezing, unless you want to make a 20-foot long noodle. Now initially these noodles are going to feel kind of slimy, but we're going to let them sit for 1 hour and let them firm up. After an hour, the texture is literally like cold spaghetti. And if you look at the noodles themselves, it looks and stretches like cold spaghetti. But how does it taste? The texture? Pretty much like spaghetti or a ramen noodle. Maybe not quite as chewy. And the flavor? Just mildly chickeny. So I don't know that I would eat this just straight up as a noodle, but certainly in a bowl of ramen, chicken ramen, where you've got some chicken stock or chicken broth and other seasonings, I don't think you're going to be able to tell the difference. Similarly, topped with any sort of spaghetti sauce, like Rayo's Arrabbiata, kind of my favorite, I think you'd be hard-pressed to tell that you're not eating spaghetti. Now you can get some odd-looking pasta, like this right here. It still tastes fine, but my recommendation is use the biggest bowl that you have for the water bath. Also maybe take out the noodles about 1/3 at a time, set them aside, and then once you've made them all, put them back in the water bath for them to firm up. But these things are only really necessary if you're concerned about the aesthetics and not the taste. If you need to store them, just throw them into a Tupperware or Rubbermaid container. You can include the water bath if you want, but you don't have to. It's not going to wind up turning these like rubbery or hard or anything like that. And they should keep in the fridge for, 5-7 days. In terms of reheating, what I'll do is I'll just throw them into a pot. I'll put in enough water to cover them, heat them up over low. You don't need to boil them. That's what I would do if I were eating these as spaghetti. If I were doing it as ramen, I would just heat up my broth and then throw the noodles in. As I said at the top of this video, I will include a link with all of the ingredients both on the Modernist Pantry site and Amazon down in the description below. Also in the description below, I will have a link to the printable recipe with the macros. And I once again want to thank Anne at Keto Asian Flavours for reminding me about this technique. This is awesome stuff. I think there are a lot of potential options with this particular technique. I think one of the next ones I may try is spinach noodles. A little Alfredo sauce? What do you think? So if you enjoyed this video, do me a solid and click that like button. If you're not a subscriber already, tap that subscribe button and then hit the bell and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any videos like this. And lastly, if you'd like to help support the Serious Keto Test Kitchen, click that join button and see what memberships and perks are all about. Thanks for watching.